Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the program, The Advocate. My name is Jack Vincent Fidelis and I'm your host. On the program today, as usual, our discussions will center around anti-corruption and accountability in governance. To discuss this program, I have my guest. He has been here before and we brought him back again. I am talking of no other person but Malam Abdulmutallib Ado. Sir, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure actually to be here again.
It's actually good to have you for the second time.
Yeah.
So, sir, we'll set the ball rolling without wasting time.
Okay.
Why is Nigeria a poor country, even though the country is endowed with abundant human and natural resources?
Well, I think as a Nigerian, I don't believe that we are still poor. It's that we are rich in almost every aspect that you can think of. Social aspects, cultural aspects, tradition, religion, economy, politics, name them, we are rich. The only problem is that it's the inability of Nigerians all to harness these abundant resources to the higher level that can be considered as developed, as matured. And I said Nigerians because it is not only the responsibility of the leaders to harness these resources, it is also the responsibility of you and I, the ordinary Nigerians.
How can the ordinary man do that?
Okay, when I say ordinary Nigerians, at every level you are a leader.
Okay.
There are some at the higher level, there are some at the lower level. So if you are a leader on your own capacity, there are abundant resources beneath your, feet that you can exhume and use them to achieve the level of development that we want. But in a situation whereby, for example, you have resources in your house, you have resources in your community, and you do not take it to the level where some people can assist you, to harness the resources, then the blame is on you as well. But it is only when we are looking at the proportion of the responsibility that, okay, maybe the leaders have the higher responsibility. The people at the middle have a certain level of responsibility. Then people at the grassroots has the highest, the level of responsibility. So it's a collective responsibility for all of us to harness the abundant resources. And as I said earlier, the major reason is that it's only when, for example, you use your time wisely, you use your resources wisely, you use your family wisely. When you use this, you can see the level of development. Assuming now you are using your time to just sit down under a shade of tree, gisting, doing things that are irrelevant. You are not developing the resources of the country. You are a resources. I'm a resources for the country, human resources. Do we really use our own self for the benefit of ourselves?
So the point here is, some of these things are easier said than done.
Yeah.
The masses are willing. They are willing to contribute their quota to the development of this country and become nation builders. But the problem is that they lack the basics that will take them from the poverty level to the height that they desire to attain. And that is where my question is coming from.
Well, I agree that the masses are willing to, but the willingness of the people, to take this country to the level of development is not up to what we think.
So why do you think that is?
For example, now, let us look at the people who are educated.
Okay.
People who have gone to secondary school, primary school, people who have gone to university. Ask them what they do with their time. The greatest asset of a country, the greatest asset of a human being is the time. If you use the time wisely, certainly you get something positive out of it. So we don't use that. But certainly, the leadership has to set the standards, has to set the foundation that all other people should follow. But remember, all these leaders come out from us. The society we belong to, it is from there where these leaders are. If at the earlier time they used their time, certainly they would have maybe used it now for development. So I think when we look at the issue of poorness or richness of our country, we have to look at it holistically. Let us look at it from our own side at the grassroots, then we look at it at the higher level. But in a situation whereby we look at it at the higher level and abandon the lower level, we may not get what we want. But quite sure we have the resources. So it is now for us, both people at the in authority and the people that are led, to ensure that we use our time wisely. Let us have that consciousness.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. All right, now my next question to you will be on corruption.
Okay.
Why is corruption still very high, despite government's conscious effort to curb it?
Well, it is conscious effort, but the effort has not been implemented. That is the major problem.
You think so?
I believe so.
Okay, explain for
because the fight against corruption is selective.
Okay.
If, for example, now I'm close to you and you're fighting the corruption, then you can protect me and you get somebody who is your enemy in court, then you prosecute him. So as long as we be doing the fight against corruption in a selective process, we may not get where we want. Okay. Because justice should be equal. Every person should be charged for what he does. In a situation whereby you only have few leaders and few people in government are protected by a system, while others who are not in government or who are not in support of government, they are Nigerians, will be punished for what they do, then we cannot get it there. Right from the 1960s, when Nigeria got its independence, the first coup, corruption was mentioned.
As in, how can the people now contribute in this fight against corruption?
When you look at it, fighting of corruption is not one man business. It's a teamwork. It's a teamwork. If we can come together and fight corruption, we can bury everything overnight.
As a citizen of Nigeria,
what can be done to make the society better? You know, as a woman here, you know, as a mother.
The society doesn't want to give these women opportunities because they think these women can come and dominate the role men play in the society.
Okay, sir, you know, some of these things are easier said than done. The poor people, they have the willingness to do these things, but they lack the financial wherewithal to get it accomplished. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, you see, the issue of harnessing the resources of a country goes beyond the aspect of willingness. It's not about the will. It's about ability of people to take the will, that is to act. So if you look at ordinary people, they are not, committed to harness the resources of the country. They are also resources. A person as a human is a resources of a country. So the ability, the way you use your time, the way you use the resources you have, the way you use your family, the way you use your little resources you have can have multiplier effects on a country. It is the inability of this, the poor people to use their time. That is why we are having this kind of issues. For example, now, as I said earlier, if you look at yourself now, if you don't use your time wisely, you may not be in this place. You might be somewhere else, doing something that cannot be beneficial to you and cannot be beneficial to the country. So if you are not beneficial to yourself, you can never be an asset to the country. And if you look at most of the people we have, they are not asset to even themselves, not to talk of the country.
But liabilities?
Yes, they are liabilities. Even though some people are even educated, they have gone to secondary school, they have gone to primary school, they have certain level of knowledge that if they can implement, certainly the country will not be as we are now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now, I would like to know why corruption in Nigeria is still so high, despite government's conscious efforts to curb it.
We can say that the government had the consciousness to curb the corruption.
Okay.
But they have little political will, to apply the legal frameworks on all Nigerians that are found maybe wanting or guilty for a corruption. In a situation whereby government can be using this mechanism for selective reasons, then we may not get the result we want.
What do you mean by selective?
Selective in the sense that if you are in government, despite the fact that the public opinion, the public court has, judged you as guilty, or maybe they're accusing you, there are allegations against you, the government should not just turn the other way around. They should ensure that such people are also, persecuted until the law finds them guilty or not. Then we'll be clear. But if you're in government, then you are protected. If you're outside government, you are not protected. So it is this selective application of, legal parameters that can curb corruption that is giving us these kind of things. So it's only when we apply the legal framework to fight corruption evenly against whoever he is, even if you're a president, as long as you are not being protected by the law, you should be
prosecuted.
Yes, prosecuted for any allegation.
Okay. What you are saying reminds me of China and Southeast Asia, where they take issue of corruption very seriously. So much so that a government official can be even killed. That is their kind of justice over there. And I don't know if that is the reason they are head and shoulder above us.
It could be part of the reasons. But at the same time, there are some countries that they don't, kill, an acquitted, maybe accused person, or maybe a guilty person for corruption is killed. So it's not only killing.
Personally, I'm not advocating for that in Nigeria.
Yes, it's not,
but I'm just saying probably it is the reason they are excelling.
It could be one of the reasons.
Okay.
It could be one of the reasons. But there are no scientific evidences that we can use to justify that, okay, it is because of killing. But it's the common opinion people have is that if you kill somebody, certainly others will not do it.
Okay.
But law as it is applied so that it will serve as deterrent to others. So if we can apply the legal provisions we have to everybody, certainly the level of corruption will be reduced. Even if you're in charge of the corruption anti-corruption agency, you are found guilty, they should punish you. But if they punish somebody, they say, okay, because you belong to party A and somebody does not belong to party A, that is why he's punished. And if we stop doing this selectivity, then we can get where we want.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Right from the 1960s, when Nigeria got its independence, the first coup, corruption was mentioned.
As in, how can the people now contribute in this fight against corruption?
When you look at it, fighting of corruption is not one man business. It's the teamwork. It's the teamwork. If we can come together and fight corruption, we can bury everything overnight.
As a citizen of Nigeria,
what can be done to make the society better? As a woman here, as a mother.
The society doesn't want to give these women opportunities because they think these women can come and dominate the role men play in the society.
Thank you. Well, viewer, in case you're just joining us, the program is The Advocate. On The Advocate, as usual, we discuss issues of anti-corruption and accountability in government. My guest is a senior lecturer with the Department of Mass Communication, University of Maiduguri, and he has been doing justice to the program. Malam Abdulmutallib Ado, I must say a very big thank you to you for educating me as a person.
It's a pleasure to share my thoughts with the viewers.
Yeah. And on giving your background, you are from the academia and you are from mass communication.
Exactly.
How can the media aid in combating corruption and lack of accountability in the system?
One of the simplest way is creating awareness about the, evil practices like corruption, unaccountability, lack of transparency. But just creating awareness alone cannot solve the problem. So they should be doing it frequently. There should be persistent coverage of the ill of corruption, not to the country as a whole, but to selective or to selected sectors. Assuming now you have a news medium like let's say radio or television or newspaper, the prominent stories that will be making headlines for a certain period of time should be the kind of corruption people have been committing in the education sector. They may take, for example, University A and do investigative report on how they spend the allocation given to them. They will take another, university. They will take another university. If they keep on doing that, such particular institutions will be on their toes. They will be ready to do the right thing. And if maybe as a result of the coverage, they discover that, okay, somebody has been spending the money judiciously, certainly there should be a medal. There should be a reward for that. So these kind of things can actually help in sustaining that. But if the length of the media organizations is tilted towards only covering politics, neglecting other sectors that are so important to the society, then we may not be able to create the awareness. Then the media will not be able to achieve that. I'm saying that because every sector, we have the economic page, we have the aviation page, we have the education page, we have the agri page. So in every page, assuming there should be an investigative report in that sector.
And then you see most media organizations, I don't know if I should say it's a particular problem that they are having. They don't give any kind of credence to this thing. Is it because of the commercialization of broadcasting, where they are driven by the desire to make more financial gain? These things you are saying may not add any financial value to the media organization. Probably that is the reason they abandon it. But it should be considered a corporate social responsibility for them to take it up. Why they don't, I don't know. But I understand that the media can set the right agenda for society.
Certainly.
Yes. And then having said that, I want to take you to the issue of Nigeria being a country that is endowed with not just human, but material resources. A whole lot. We have these things. Yet things don't seem to be moving very well for the country.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is because of our diversity. I don't know if our diversity is the reason for this. Because when people want to do something in Nigeria, they look at where you are coming from, the religion you practice, and stuff like that. So, how can nepotism and tribalism in Nigeria be curbed?
Well, it is my personal belief that diversity is a blessing.
It should be a blessing.
It is a blessing.
Ordinarily.
Because when it gives us an opportunity to understand who we are. Just look at you and I. We don't wear the same clothes. Different colors. And it makes the place a little bit beautiful.
Yes.
So if we have Kanuris, we have Hausas, we have Pulanis, we have Ibibios, this thing will make our country so beautiful that we can love it, we can like it. So the simple thing is that we should not be looking ourselves from the parochial perspectives. You are a human being, I'm a human being. What you want is what I want. What you eat, what you wear, what you dress, where you sleep, these are the things that we all need. So if we can put our hands together on that, then we should be able to get where we are. So in essence, for us to avoid the aspect of tribalism and nepotism, we need to see ourselves as human beings who have similar needs.
I remember growing up that MAMSA, you remember
yes,
MAMSA?
Yeah.
They used to create awareness on these things a lot. But since MAMSA became National Orientation Agency, I'm not sure they act like that.
They do, but it's not up to the level that people actually expect them to do.
Okay.
But we hope that the NOAA, National Orientation Agency, will be able to do that.
Okay.
Maybe they should look at what MAMSA did and try to improve on that. But certainly, if we look at ourselves as human beings, we look at ourselves as human beings and that have similar needs, but with different capacities and capabilities, then we should be able to get where we are. For example, now, if I'm incapable of asking questions, perhaps you have the capacity to answer the question. That is why this program is going on, because we identify our strength and our weaknesses. Where we're weak, somebody is strong there. So you can find maybe somebody in Igbo land who is capable of producing things that we need. And we have the money to purchase, then we can go and purchase amicably. So these are things that we should appreciate. I think Nigerians should understand this. And if I want to give a job to you, I should not give the job because of you belong to my tribe. I will give it because you have the capacity
to deliver.
You have the knowledge, you have the willingness to deliver what I want. And this is what we normally do. You buy your cloth and you want somebody to sew it for you. You cannot take it to a mad person to do it for you. You take an appropriate person to do it for you. So why should you take things that you know that somebody is more qualified to do it and give it to somebody who's not qualified because he's a member of your family? Why don't you give maybe your child to cook the food you want to eat?
Thank you.
So I think we should be very reasonable and think things from even our domain.
Yeah.
If you look at things in our home, you'll be able to achieve what we want.
That's true.
Yeah.
So now, what can the government do to attain those enviable heights that are attained in normative climes other than our own? What can we do? We want Nigeria to move from the point we are to the point that we ought to be.
Well, what the government should do is want to have sincerity of purpose. Because I used to say that if somebody is insincere, will not give you a sincere project, will not give you a sincere policy. So we need that sincerity. Secondly, the government should be able to develop policies and programs that should be, beneficial to every Nigerian. And in the process of implementation, they should do away about the issue of corruption. Issue of nepotism and tribalism. If people in Maiduguri need roads, let us give them the road. If people in Abeokuta, need water supply, let us give them water. And if they have common needs, let us do it gradually. Thirdly, there should be consistency of, sustenance and consistency of policy implementation. If Governor A, brought policies, and Governor B comes, let that Governor B, try to implement the policy. Let them look at it as program that will be beneficial to their people, irrespective of your tradition, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your tribe. So if we have government with this, the government in our various level of government will have that, feelings. Certainly we'll get there. Okay. There is no essence for somebody to steal huge amount of money and you only need one bed to sleep. You need one room to sleep. You need one house. We don't need all these things. I'm sure if some people see the Prime Minister of England, the house is not as cozy as a house of a councillor. But everybody is enjoying, or nearly everybody is enjoying. So we need such kind of things actually for us to move forward.
Thank you very much. Now, on a final note, I want to know what your advice is to all relevant stakeholders in this our collective fight against corruption and lack of accountability in our society.
what the stakeholders are everybody.
That is it.
You are a stakeholder, I'm a stakeholder.
Okay.
So my advice is that let us do soul search. There are things I do wrong. Why shouldn't I stop doing it or doing them? So every individual, every Nigerian should think on what he does that can be classified as corruption, that can be classified as unaccountable. Let me give you an example. If you are married, you won't tell your wife that, okay, this is how much I earn. That is lack of accountability, lack of transparency. Tell your wife, this is the amount I earn, this is what I can give you. If you do that, by the time you get yourself in maybe the chairman of community organization, tell them this is what I have, this is what I can give you. If you go to the local government, this is what I do. That is why I say it's the responsibility for every one of us. If you ask me, how much do you have in your pocket? I can tell you, okay, I have only 1 naira. While I know it is 10,000 naira, will you take the money out of me if I tell you?
No.
You will not. So let us all have that consciousness. Wherever we are, whatever we do, we should be accountable to ourselves. We should be accountable to the God. We should be accountable to the people that are under us. I wonder why if a father lies to his children, what are you going to benefit? Nothing.
Thank you. I want to say thank you very much. It's good to have you again. And I will still make a final appeal to say, if we invite you subsequently, we hope to see you back here again.
I will certainly come.
Thank you very much.
And I like to share my thoughts, my feelings to the general community, so that they'll benefit from me and also benefit from what their reactions will be. That is how we'll be able to progress. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Well, viewer, that is the much we can take on the program for this week. If you've had a great time watching us, then keep a date, same time, same station next week for another episode of the program. Thank you.